welcome back to another episode of Mood for Feud. I'm your host Katya, and today I am in the mood for news. Let's go over some trending topics from the last couple of weeks. We will be starting off discussing the latest diss track from Bhad Bhabie. Last episode we discussed the Bhad Bhabie and Alabama Barker feud, so make sure you give that episode a listen if you haven't done so already. And since that came out, there has actually been another diss track. It's titled OG Crashout, so we will talk all about that in today's episode. We will also discuss the video that Millie Bobby Brown posted, basically calling out a bunch of journalists who have been commenting on her appearance lately, and then we'll round it up with some disappointing news about Gwen Stefani. Gwen has gone conservative. Now, I was shocked. I was like, wow, I did not see this coming. Apparently, there have been signs. I'll admit I have not been following Gwen as closely as I perhaps did in the, 2010s, whatever. So she slipped my radar, I'll admit it. I didn't think I had to keep tabs on her. I didn't think we were at risk of Gwen sliding down the conservative wormhole, but here we are, so we'll give a little update on that as well. Remember, if you enjoy the show and would like to support it, then please do leave a rating. You can leave comments on Spotify, written reviews on Apple Podcasts, and you can follow the show so you never miss an episode. I'm also on socials at Mood for Feud, and I'm always looking to chat pop culture, so send me a message there. Also, don't forget that these Mood for News episodes come out every other week, so if there's a trending topic in particular that you'd like me to discuss, just send me a message. I am very open to receiving your guys' input into this show as well, so yeah, just let me know and I will do my best to talk about it. Before we start, how has everyone been feeling lately? I don't know why. I feel like I've been a bit more anxious these last couple of weeks than normal. Probably the state of the world had something to do with that. But yeah, I don't know. Things have been feeling a little bit tricky for me lately, and I'm interested to know if anyone else feels the same. I'm actually recording this from my bed. Normally I get to the weekend and I'm very excited to record. And this weekend, I don't know, it was tough. It was really tough to motivate myself to sit down and do this. I don't know why. It actually got so bad to the point where I thought I wasn't going to record this week. And then I decided maybe what I really needed was a change of scenery. So I made the bedroom nice and cozy. I'm in some fresh pajamas and honestly, it's helped. It's helped so much. And I'm feeling really glad that I did still manage to record, because obviously I don't want to leave you guys hanging. That was 2024 Katya. She would disappear for months at a time without notice, and now luckily we have 2025 Katya. So anyway, I don't know, I'm rambling, I'm delaying the episode. I went from oh gosh, I don't know if I'll record today to super yappy all of a sudden. But let's talk about OG Crashout. I really thought we were done with the feuds. I had a feeling Alabama Barker wasn't going to release that diss track that she had kind of hinted at. And so I thought it was going to just die its death, but Bhad Bhabie decided to go in one more time. I will say, I still think Miss Whitman is the better song of the two. I think she already won the war, and now it's she's putting in the extra work. Her cake is baked and decorated, and now she's adding little cherries on top. That's kind of how I feel with OG Crashout. It was a decal, it was not a must-have, it was a nice-to-have. And it is nice to have it, but I do think Miss Whitman is the memorable song from this. Anyway, the music video starts with an Alabama lookalike. In the video, they're doing their makeup, and it kind of, they're wearing the pajama set that Alabama very often wears. It's actually so funny because I have a pajama set that kind of looks like that, and I'm wearing it right now. So I'm feeling like I'm in my Alabama Barker era. Except I don't have a full beat on, but anyway. Yeah, so the lookalike is doing her makeup, and suddenly she gets kidnapped and taken to a nail salon. This is when we see the Alabama lookalike with kind of a beaten up face, I guess, and Bhad Bhabie is basically like rapping at them, and we also see clips of the Alabama lookalike tied up in the back of the car. So yeah, it's done artistically, I will say. Like, it's not necessarily like, do you remember when Kanye made all those songs and had like Pete Davidson getting killed in them, like in claymation art, and it seemed like it wasn't quite funny because it seemed like it could potentially be serious? I will say this to me stays on the side of like, I'm not scared that Bhad Bhabie is gonna go and kill Alabama. It is still in the like light, playful, funny side of the scale, if that makes sense. As I mentioned, I thought the song was good, but I didn't think it was as good as Miss Whitman. The parts that I did like, I do think there were some really good disses in there. There's one where she says, I know that you are 304, not me, bitch, where? Obviously 304 referring to when you punch that into a calculator and hold it upside down, it spells hoe. I haven't thought about, calculator writing stuff in a really long time, and I just thought how that's probably... Do kids these days still do that? Not to sound like a fucking grandma, but like, that was so fun, just like seeing what kinds of words you could spell on your calculator using the numbers. And I just want to know, like, is that still happening in schools, or is everyone just using ChatGPT to do their calculations for them now? Anyway, she has another lyric that says, how this bitch thinks she ate, she just another bitch that I fed. And then she also says, bitch, keep talking like you hot, I'll have him laying at your spot. OG crash out with the drum, I blink 182 shots, you keep running back to your daddy, I don't know when I last seen my pops. So we have some more shots kind of aimed at Blink-182 and Travis, obviously, and also just pointing out again that anytime Alabama gets into some hot water, she can go running to daddy, which is kind of what seems to have happened, right? Because we had Kanye saying when he had to address whether him lending his sample to Bhad Bhabie was like him taking a side in the feud, and he had to come on and be like, I didn't even know there was a feud happening, I just cleared the sample. And he does say like, I just got off the phone with Travis. So clearly someone did maybe go running to their papa and say like, can you please call Kanye? Figure out what's going on. I don't know. Obviously that's all speculation. Now, the parts that I thought were kind of meh, I feel like we didn't get any more info. Like, the disses that Bhad Bhabie makes towards Alabama were kind of just building on what she'd already told us about her, right? Like, that she's promiscuous, allegedly, obviously, alleged, according to Bhad Bhabie, that Alabama's promiscuous, that she is a nepo baby, and that she is obviously not as good at rapping as Bhad Bhabie is, that she maybe is someone who is a bit inauthentic in the rap genre, right? Because we've seen such a switch up in her personality and her music career. And I think she even like mentioned the abortion rumor again, which Alabama has said is completely false. But we didn't get anything new. And I think this is where Kendrick's disses and the Kendrick and Drake feud was so elite to me, because every time Kendrick released a new song, there was some new tidbit of information, some new like person mentioned, or just a little bit more of the story was given to us. And it really meant that every single song he put out had a purpose. It told another part of the story. Like, he was storytelling. And obviously I don't expect this same level of, whatever. With Bhad Bhabie, she's newer to her rap career. She doesn't have years and years and years of experience behind her. But I think this is something, if you're gonna go do some diss tracks, multiple of them, this is something worth thinking about. If you're planning to do 3 or 4 diss tracks, just stagger the info that you give us, and that way I feel like every single diss track that you put out really hits and has something, has a purpose, has a reason for being there, other than to just double down on the claims you already made. Which, interestingly, that's what I found is what Drake would do with his diss tracks against Kendrick. He kind of blew all his ammo in the first 2 tracks, and then everything after that was just like repeating what he'd already told us and doubling down on it. It's fine, but it just doesn't have as much impact. Now, there were also a couple of things that I raised my eyebrows at one of them, Bhad Bhabie, kind of criticizes Alabama for imitating black culture. She says, that she hangs around with a lot of black people, but she'll never be invited to the cookout. And then she also calls Alabama a cracker. And I'm kind of just like, Danielle, do everyone, including yourself, a massive favor and look a little bit in the mirror, because this is something that Danielle has also been criticized for, something that I don't think she's ever properly addressed either. Now, the thing I will bring up that separates Alabama and Bhad Bhabie is that Bhad Bhabie obviously has a black daughter, and I do think that changes things, because obviously she should be part of her daughter's culture. She should celebrate her daughter's culture and make sure that it's visible, and all of those things, and that's really the key difference here. But I'd love to know what everyone else thought about this, because maybe I'm just overthinking it, which could well and truly be the case. But I just thought it was an interesting thing to come at Alabama for, when it's something that she herself has also been criticized for by the black community. So it's kind of okay, before you go and call another white girl a cracker, maybe address some of your own wrongdoings, or I don't know. And I mean, the line between cultural appropriation and appreciation is literally so thin, and there really isn't one right answer for where that line even sits. And obviously I'm not the right person to determine in this instance what is what, but I do think that until we live in a world where people are, no longer marginalized by their race, we do need to keep having these conversations and talking about, what's appropriate, what isn't. Is this coming from a good place, a well-meaning, good intention place, and all of those things. But go listen to OG Crashout. Let me know all of your thoughts. Do you think it was necessary? Do you think that it was better than Miss Whitman? I would love to know. Just quickly before we move on to Millie Bobby Brown, while I was watching a lot of videos about Bhad Bhabie on YouTube, I stumbled across the most awkward live stream that I have ever seen in my entire life. It's DDG, I think he's another rapper. He was hosting it. He invited Bhad Bhabie round to cook tacos with him, and oh my gosh, everyone needs to go watch this video right now. It is up on YouTube. It set my social anxiety off, and I don't even want to be so dramatic about that right now, but it literally did. The amount of awkward pauses, the amount of like times where, when you're interacting with someone, you do kind of do a bit of a yes and type of thing, right? Where if someone says to you do you like sour cream? You might go, no, I don't really, but I do really like yogurt. Sometimes I'll just have yogurt. Even if you disagree with what they've just asked you, or your answer is no, you usually try to keep the conversation going, or no, I don't, do you like it? Something like that. There was none of that between these two. There were times where he asked her if she liked something or didn't like something, and she was just shaking her head, didn't even respond with a verbal answer. And by the way, I'm not even blaming her for this, right? As we know, she's got a bunch of life shit happening right now. I would say that her energy levels are very, very low, but it's as a host, make her feel comfortable. I don't know. And maybe this was me misreading the vibes or whatever, but I just felt DDG just wasn't providing a comfy environment for her to be in. He kind of half brings up the feud between her and Alabama Barker, and then basically is I don't want to get in the middle of it. I don't want to get into any mess, okay? And then he's I just kind of wish that everyone could just get along. I don't like when people fight. And it's okay, so just just the last three pieces of work that she's put out. The other thing is she comes around to cook tacos. This man doesn't know where anything in his kitchen is, and so she ends up doing all of the cooking, which kind of pissed me off as well, because I'm you've invited her here to cook tacos, and what do you mean you don't know where the pans are? What do you mean you don't know where you keep your cooking oil? It really bothered me. And then he even has the audacity. I'm so sorry. I'm recapping the whole thing for you now, but you should go and watch it. But at one point he's oh, it's so nice having you here, because it's I get a night off from cooking. You cannot convince me that this man has cooked in that kitchen before. He knew where absolutely nothing was. It's when you watch Cooking with Paris and someone will be like, hey, do you have a spatula? And she's like, oh, I don't know. I'll go have a look. Where is that? Where would that be? That's basically what he was like. Anyway, it was a tough watch, but I still watched the whole thing, and I feel like you should too. That is my little side tangent. All right, let's talk about Millie Bobby Brown. So this happened last Tuesday, I believe. Millie made a video on Instagram basically calling out a bunch of journalists who had been writing articles about her face and her appearance while she's on the press tour for the film Electric State. Now, I will say she has changed her appearance in the last 6 months or so. I feel like she's been dressing a bit differently. She also dyed her hair blonde. I am allegedly speculating, based on my opinion only, that she's maybe had some work done. And I'm not saying any of this to like critique her, right? Like, she can look however she wants to look, blah, 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 blah. But I will say there has been a noticeable difference, and that's kind of why these articles, I believe, have started coming out. But I do agree that, you know, for her to change her look up a bit to then cause a slew of articles and think pieces, basically saying like, why does Millie Bobby Brown look 45? Like, and criticizing her for looking and dressing and acting too old. I will say that that is not okay, obviously, right? And it's a really good video. You know what? I think I'll play it. I'll play the whole video because she makes some really good points in it, and I think it's an important topic for her to bring up.
Hi everyone, it's Millie. I want to take a moment to address something that I think is bigger than just me. Something that affects every young woman who grows up under public scrutiny. I think this is very necessary to talk about. I started in the industry when I was 10 years old. I grew up in front of the world, and for some reason, people can't seem to grow up with me. Instead, they act like I'm supposed to stay frozen in time, like I should still look the way I did on Stranger Things Season 1. And because I don't, I'm now a target. I want to talk about some of the articles that have recently released while I'm on my press tour, and some of the writers who are so desperate to tear young women down. One article reads, "Why are Gen Zers like Millie Bobby Brown aging so badly?" Written by Lydia Hawkin. "What has Millie Bobby Brown done to her face?" Written by John Eli. "Millie Bobby Brown mistaken for someone's mum as she guides younger sister Ava through LA." Written by Cassie Carpenter. Another article reads, "Little Britain's Matt Lucas takes savage swipe at Millie Bobby Brown's new mummy makeover look." Written by Bethann Edwards. "Amplifying an insult rather than questioning why a grown man is mocking a young woman's appearance. This isn't journalism. This is bullying." The fact that adult writers are spending their time dissecting my face, my body, my choices is disturbing, and the fact that some of these articles are written by women makes it even worse. We always talk about supporting and uplifting young women, but when it comes down to it, it seems a lot easier to just tear them down for clicks. Disillusioned people can't handle seeing a girl become a woman, on her terms, not their own. I refuse to apologize for growing up. I refuse to make myself smaller to fit the unrealistic expectations of people who can't handle seeing a girl become a woman. I will not be shamed for how I look, how I dress, or how I present myself. We have become a society where it's so much easier to criticize than it is to pay a compliment. Why is it the knee-jerk reaction to say something horrible rather than just say something nice? If you have a problem with that, I have to wonder, what is it that actually makes you so uncomfortable? Let's do better. Not just for me, but for every young girl who deserves to grow up without the fear of being torn apart for simply existing. Thank you.
Okay, so that's kind of everything that she said. I will say, and maybe this is a hot take, I don't necessarily think it's bad for us to discuss celebrities, and we don't always have to love everything that they do. But to me, there is a line between just, you know, discussing something and what she's describing here, where it's like on the level of vitriol, to the point where her whole press tour is basically buried beneath the articles wondering why she's looking too old. I can feel her frustration because it is tricky when you're a child star. And like, oh my gosh, we see this with so many other child stars, right? Like we saw this with Miley Cyrus when she had her whole bangers era, which was basically, I'm pretty sure the point of all of that was just to finally get the image of Hannah Montana separated from her and finally tell people like, hello, I am not 14 anymore, like I am an adult. To me, Millie Bobby Brown's doing something similar here. And it's good. Like, we shouldn't want people to be stuck at the age that they were when they first became famous. She shouldn't feel the need to act 12 years old forever. And she's also been through a bunch of like life experiences. She got married last year to John Bon Jovi. I can imagine that marriage would maybe mature you a little bit. She's been doing interviews discussing how she wants to start a family. I don't know if she was meaning like anytime soon, but you know, this is something that her and her husband talk about. All of these types of things will mature you, and that's okay. But I do also find it interesting because I feel like she is continuing a movement that we have been seeing where younger celebrities are basically pushing back on some of the invasiveness of being famous. For example, I think about Chappell Roan copping a bunch of heat last year because she had the audacity to set boundaries, saying that she feels unsafe during some of her fan interactions and just reminding people that she doesn't owe them anything. I actually saw just today Scarlett Johansson has said that watching Chappell Roan set those boundaries actually inspired her to make the decision that she was not going to say yes to taking photos with people if she wasn't working. Like if she wasn't on a press junket or something like that, promoting one of her films. If she was just trying to get some groceries done and someone's like, oh my gosh, can I take a photo with you? She was going to start to say no. Because that's the other thing, right? Like taking photos with fans is kind of like being at work for them. It's got to be really shit, just trying to enjoy your weekend or whatever, and then having to do stuff that is essentially work. And this is interesting to me too, because although it's younger celebrities that we often see pushing back, we do also see this impacting some of the veteran celebs. For example, when Jenna Ortega went viral during the Beetlejuice premiere, her, Winona Ryder and Catherine O'Hara were getting photographed and the paparazzi were yelling at Winona Ryder to take her sunglasses off, and Jenna just turns to her and says like, no, you don't have to. Like, you don't have to do that. And in an interview after that clip went viral, Winona and Jenna discussed this, and Winona does say, like, it's a generational thing, and she's kind of more used to just going with what the public are telling her to do because that's how it's always been done. That's always how the game has worked. And so it really took Jenna being like, no, actually, you don't have to do that. Like, you're not a puppet. You have agency in this situation. You can keep the sunglasses on. It took for that to happen for her to just kind of remember that. And I feel like that's something similar we're seeing here with Scarlett Johansson and Chappell Roan as well. And I do think that part of the reason why younger celebrities now especially are deciding that enough is enough is because they probably have had the least amount of privacy ever. And it, you know, Jenna and Millie are two people who have been in the public eye since they were about 10 years old. They've had a decade of people telling them what to do, people telling them who to hug, who to take photos with, and just always being expected to be on for the public, right? And look where it gets you. It gets you a bunch of articles written about your appearance and criticizing you for how you look. And in Jenna's case, it gets, do you remember all those articles coming out because she was seen on set somewhere smoking a cigarette? All of these articles came out and were like, she's a bad role model for children. Oh my god, this is so disappointing. This is meant to be the smoke-free generation. Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, guys, I don't think anyone, or at least no one that I know, was like, you know what? So far I haven't smoked. But that one photo of Jenna Ortega and now I'm gonna go and light one up. Do you know what does get people into smoking? Candy floss flavored vapes. That is something that gets kids smoking, not one photo of Jenna Ortega on set. But anyway, they're at a breaking point. They're at a point where it's like, actually, fuck you, like, that being famous isn't even worth it anymore. There are so many younger people, I feel like, who don't even want to be famous. They literally just want to do their acting and then go home. And I do get a little bit of the counter argument as well, which it's like, well, I'm sorry, but that's just the price you have to pay for being famous. And I agree to some extent, because let's also not forget that these people benefit a fuck ton because we decide to watch their content, we decide to buy the products that they recommend, or even the products that they themselves create, right? Millie Bobby Brown's got her skincare line, and it's like you rely on fame and on people watching your content for that kind of product to sell. So I do get that there's like a double-edged sword here, but in saying that, I do also think there is a line between what's like appropriate discourse or just fun gossip, or just, you know, having an opinion on people that we've seen grow up right in front of our eyes, and bullying. Like, I do think there is a line there. It's not super clear. I will say there's probably times where I overstep the line on this podcast as well. It's tricky. It's like, I feel like we're in the teething process. We're trying to figure out where is that line, what's appropriate, what's inappropriate. I also don't think it should get to a point where we're not allowed to say anything negative about them ever, because that's just not how discourse works. Like, if you want proper, honest, raw, open conversations about pop culture, you have to leave room for good and bad. But I think it's when Millie Bobby Brown goes on a press tour and it's all bad, it's all really negative, and none of it's even like based on something bad that happened. It's all just based on what outfit she chose to wear. Like, I do see how that is a problem. There needs to be a mix, okay? There needs to be a balance to these types of things. And I do hope that I contribute to that. Like, I hope that I criticize celebrities, or maybe, you know, come on here and say, ugh, I don't like that celebrity, or I don't like that song, I don't like that movie, but that I also balance it out with some stuff where it's like, but I do like this and I do like that. Yeah, I hope it's not all just like negative and snarky. Anyway, I do think that with these younger celebrities, we will see this trend of them pulling back from the public eye a little bit, realizing that it's actually not worth it to have all this heightened fame and take all the bad that comes with it. And I do think that this will result in us having celebrities not do so much online anymore. And, you know, we'll see them when they're working, we'll see them when they're doing red carpet interviews, when they're on press tours, but outside of that, we won't see them as much. I don't think they'll be doing live streams as much. I don't think they'll be posting fun TikToks and things like that. I think they're going to start really becoming more private. And I do think we've kind of already started seeing this, especially in the last 10 years. If you go back 10 years ago, celebrities were authentically on the internet. There are literally posts made by Taylor Swift on Tumblr that she herself wrote and, you know, engaged with and commented on and replied to people with. There are posts on Tumblr from Halsey. There are posts on MySpace from Kim Kardashian, and you compare that to nowadays, there is no way that Taylor Swift runs her own Instagram account. There's just absolutely no way. Kim Kardashian probably doesn't even know the password to her Instagram account. Like, these accounts are being run by PR teams and teams of people because celebrities are no longer wanting to be themselves on the internet, because it's exhausting and it can get them into a lot of shit, and it's just another like barrier that gets put between us and them. It's like another layer in the facade of it all, and that is super sad to think about. And I definitely have noticed that there are celebrity social accounts and you just know that they're not running them, because the only images they post is like of them completely dolled up on a red carpet, right? But I do also think it's kind of our own fault in a little way, because of what Millie Bobby Brown's describing here, because of vitriol, because of bullying, because of like relentless snark on celebrities, to the point where they're like, okay, well, fuck you, I'm not gonna put myself out there as much anymore, which I do think is a shame. Like, I lived for the OG social media days when celebrities would themselves post stuff and reply to comments. Simpler times, I guess. Okay, the last topic I want to talk about is Gwen's little conservative makeover. Didn't expect this, as I mentioned. She apparently has been becoming more and more religious and kind of returning to her Christian faith. People noticed that she followed a lot of like religious Christian accounts on social media. She's also married to Blake Shelton, who has supported Trump in the past and is, I don't know anything about Blake Shelton, but if I had to guess, if I had to make an educated guess, I would absolutely say that he is a Republican. And not just because he makes country music, but also just because of how he appears to me. So I guess being married to him, maybe he's in her ear a little bit, being like, changing her mind, whatever. She recently got some criticism from her fans though, because she tweeted praise for Jonathan Rumi's interview with Tucker Carlson. And Tucker Carlson, obviously very conservative political commentator, works on Fox News, like bloody blah, tells you everything you need to know. And people were like, what is this? Why are you a fan suddenly of this? And yeah, it is. It's really weird. If 10 years ago you told me that Gwen Stefani was going to be a Trumpy, first of all, I guess 10 years ago I would have been like, the guy from The Apprentice? What? The other thing is also, I would have just never believed you, because she's previously supported the Democratic Party. She's also just very not conservative. So it is a bit odd. It's a bit strange seeing her this way. She's also started dressing more conservative, doing her makeup more conservative. It is really weird. It is so jarring. The first photo I saw of her, I was like, surely this is AI. There is no way. Actually, I think the very first photo I saw of her, I was like, who is that? I didn't even recognize it as her, because I was like, that's not Gwen Stefani, clearly. I don't know who that is. So yeah, that is really annoying, very disappointing. I've actually just decided that I kind of need to unfollow every celebrity that is pro-Trump. I'm just feeling like it's getting to that level of severity for me. So after Kim did her little photo shoot a couple days ago with the Tesla Cybertruck, I really was like, God damn, I need to unfollow her. I should not be, this content is not serving me. I should really just get rid of that whole family. They are a little bit annoying to follow, and before I'd kind of been like, oh, but it's for the podcast, it's for research purposes, there's no need. Everything that Kim Kardashian posts gets screenshotted and recorded somewhere else. I don't need to be seeing it in real time and giving her account ammunition. So yeah, look, did I take too long? Yes, but better late than never. I think I will be unfollowing all of the Kardashian, Jenner, whatever, all of them. That'll show them. I'm sure they're gonna miss that one follower out of their millions of Instagram followers. Alright, that is all I have for this week's episode. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast if you enjoy the show. Please feel free to leave a written review or comment. I love my words of affirmation. And you can connect with me on socials at Mood for Feud. I also hope that everyone's feeling good. I'm so glad that I jumped on and recorded. I love talking to you guys, honestly, so much. I'm not going to get all deep about it, whatever. I'm feeling really good now. And I think I just needed to get comfy. And truly, it's so nice. I feel sometimes like I'm FaceTiming you guys, That's how it feels to record this show. It feels like I'm just sitting, talking to friends. But anyway, I hope everyone is crushing their goals this week, and of course keeping out of trouble. Don't get into any feuds, and I will talk to you all next week. Bye.